So for this video, I'm going to be doing a quick and dirty deck spotlight. I say quick and dirty because a lot of times I like to edit these things. I like to kind of spice them up, make them a little bit flashy, really zero in on certain cards, but I'm going to be leaving for QuakeCon to cast the finals for the Master Series here shortly, and I wanted to get some of the deck spotlights up so that you guys can see what I've been playing since the balance patch. So let's just dive right into it. This deck is Goblin Archer. This deck is heavily influenced by Matt Oblivium. He posted a version of this quite some time ago. None of the cards were touched that were in the old version by the balance patch. Houses of Morrowind gave us a couple of new tools to work with on top of that, so this is the version I've been running. It's been pretty successful for me, and let's just get right to it. First and foremost, I'm going to highlight Murkwater Skirmisher here. This is kind of like the reason you play this deck. Your goal is to flood the board with little goblins, play Skirmisher on turn 4, and generate so much tempo that you just either win that turn or within the next turn or two, because again, hopefully you've got 2 or 3 goblins on the board, you play Skirmisher, and you get massive amounts of tempo because of the sheer stats it provides. So Murkwater Skirmisher is a auto include 3 of anytime you're running goblins. Then the rest of it is just kind of picking and choosing which goblins you want to stick in. The answer is most of them. We're running 3 of the 0-cost goblins because Goblin Skulk fetches them and is also a goblin as well. We've got Murkwater Witch. It's a goblin. Gives you a little bit of a defensive tool, but it's also a nice cheap one, so you can hopefully help yourself with some early tempo. The card is really good at picking off Wardcrafter, and that card will be played for probably ever in any format it's allowed to be played in, so including Murkwater, which isn't as bad as it seems, even in an aggressive deck like this. We are also running like Murkwater Butcher. Obviously not that great when played for 3 Magicka, but at 1 Magicka it's kind of a steal. Murkwater Savage is really good because this is a mono green build, meaning every card in here is green, so every creature you play will buff this unless it's something you get off of Eldergleam Matron. And we're also running, or at least I'm running, 2 Murkwater Guides. Murkwater Guide is one of those cards that is more often than not just a 4/2 for 3, but it is a goblin, so that helps it a lot. Has the potential, if you are drawing your 0-cost goblins, to create multiple copies. But the other reason I like including a couple of it now is one of the tools that Houses of Morrowind gave us was Surin Pawnbroker. This card is a fantastic card for just raw value. A 2/3 for 2 is entirely acceptable. Getting a random 0-cost card is great. If you've got a Murkwater Guide, getting 2 of them is sometimes even better. A lot of the 0-cost cards directly benefit you. They're either a +1/+1 in stats, so you get things like, I mean, you can see it on the screen, right? Improvised Weapon, Healing Hands, sometimes Daggers in the Dark can give you +2/+0 because you likely have a couple of creatures. Nord Firebrands are always great to get. Bushwhack can help you go around guards and such. There's very few 0-cost cards that you don't want. I'm not saying that it won't give you a dead draw every now and then, but for the most part, Surin Pawnbroker is fantastic. And then the rest of the tools are pretty straightforward. We do run things like Mournhold Trader because it's amazing. Gloomlurker here is mostly because of Prophecy, but also giving something cover is kind of nice. Gambler is another one of the Houses of Morrowind tools. Perhaps the biggest buff to this deck because it is a fantastic draw engine. 4/3 for 3 is a fantastic stat line. Eldergleam Matron is mostly here because it's a green card, good stats, gives you another random card. Cliff Racer is a finisher. Nimble Ally is, in this deck, always a 4/4 lethal for 3. That makes it outstanding. It eats Hive Defenders and survives. It's just kind of a stat house. This version's running House Kinsman for a little bit of reach, and also in tight aggro mirrors, the gain 3 health, deal 3 damage can sometimes be a real lifesaver. So overall, pretty standard. The one other variation that I run is I'm running 1 Hidden Trail, and that's largely because this deck feels pretty brittle when you don't draw Murkwater Skirmisher. In fact, it can feel downright awful sometimes if you don't draw Skirmisher. I have found that just by adding one hidden trail in place of what I think Matt used to run was a Murkwater Shaman. The hidden trail means if I have all my little guys but I don't draw a skirmisher, I can still play hidden trail and get extra value. A lot of times it's like, you know, a +3 or a +4 just from creatures on the board on the turn I play it anyway. That's good enough. Really helps me close out games. So I've liked it as a one of include. And that's, again, that's this version of the deck. So let's just dive into some games and see how it does. All right. This is going to be pretty interesting. We are going second and against Crusader, which means this is likely going to be... Oh, that's so tough. It's likely going to be a brawl. Now, what's interesting here is normally Gambler is something that you'd want to hang on to, but against another aggressive deck, I suspect we're going to get cards anyway. We don't want to throw the Butcher back, and the Skirmisher is such a key card that I think we actually throw the Gambler back. By the time we play this, we don't want to pitch either of these anyway. And we want to go try to find some more goblins.
Wait! Did you hear that?
So we're going to go ahead and play the Skulk. Now, I expect the defenses to come down, but we're going to play the Skulk because this will still have the cost reduction regardless.
I am ready to join the circle.
And an Initiate. Alright. So that'll get rid of that. Actually, that might have been a misplay. In fact, it was a misplay. If you're watching at home, don't do what I just did. You always want to draw first. We're going to play the Butcher. We're going to play the Pawnbroker.
Business with House Halal.
And, well, I mean, that's nice because we can paralyze there, but the reason that was a misplay is pretty simple. If we would have got something like Suppress, that would have let us skip the guard entirely, and this could have drawn us a Goblin.
Time to fight. Close ranks. Let
All
nothing
right,
through.
well, they're going to go ahead and eat our Skulk.
I'll take them with me.
Our Skirmisher only buffs one Goblin right now. And if we want to be greedy, we could have it buff potentially this one, though I fully expect this would make some sort of trade. Whereas if we play the Skirmisher and value trade in, that puts us pretty far ahead. So while it's not the best Skirmisher in the world, I think it's pretty hard to pass up. So we can go ahead and do that. Do that.
Tuwaka watches over me. I'll take them with me.
Alright. Kind of a bummer that we didn't get multiples there, but it is what it is. Alright, let's go ahead and push some damage.
My business is none of theirs.
And we're actually going to go ahead and play this, because if they drop a Hive Defender, we want to be able to chew through it.
Ifra stands with me.
And also, we've drawn one Murkwater. The chances of us drawing another one before playing that go down.
A little distraction might prove useful.
A dark omen for you. I'll take them with me.
Alright, the Gloom Lurker is actually a pretty solid pickup for us right there, for a couple of reasons.
My business is none of theirs.
So we can take the value trade,
The forest
push
is
some
ours.
damage, and we can go ahead and play Gloom Lurker to hide our 4/4 with lethal. So he either has to take a value trade here, or this essentially created a 2-for-1 for us. We're going to go ahead and play this here. If he does have something that buffs and trades, it's kind of a bummer, but that means you would have to play like Orc Clan Captain or Divine Fervor. If he plays Crusader's Assault to trade into that, then we're good. There's the Hive Defender, which again is why Nimble Ally.
Did you
is
hear
just
that?
so good right now. Nimble ally.
I'll take them
Choose!
with me.
Wow, he gave me a card? Shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Yeah, so this value trades there quite nicely. As does that there. Let's go ahead and push some damage. Oh no, that's probably an illusionist.
I am ready to join the circle.
Was not an illusionist. Catch a little bit of a break. Let's see what the Elder Gleam draws us. Alright. Honestly, we probably could have played that Murkwater in the field as well, because he's going to double up into some stuff, but mostly I'm holding on to it in case we draw a Pawnbroker. It triggers plot. Murkwater Savage, it's an instant trigger.
The
And
Nords must take back Skyrim.
it's looking pretty good for us, though. We just need any creature to survive, and then we have lethal with the Cliff Racer. And it's looking like
I'll take them with me.
we're going to have multiples survive.
You.
And we get the concession anyway, so there you see goblins winning an aggro mirror. Let's jump into another game, see what we can do with them. Alright, here we go. This is going to be interesting because we're going second, but we're going against Telvanni. Kind of the boogeyman of the game right now. Many consider it to potentially be the best deck in the format. Alright, it's not a bad hand. With the Skirmisher, we wouldn't mind seeing some more goblins.
Of course, I'm on your
Mournhold Trader is always good to start with, but you know, a Skulk that would have found us some little guys to Skirmisher up would have been nice. Instead, our opponent is playing Skulks, which also kind of feels bad because that means we have to use our Goblin to hopefully prevent his Goblin. Otherwise, he's going to find a cruel Fire Bloom to kill our Trader and really, really slow us down.
I smell the stench of the living.
Hey, we found a Skulk, though.
Didn't see this coming, eh?
Alright, well, we'll go ahead and do that. Play a Skulk. Hope that he doesn't have answers for what we got in that field lane, because then our Skirmisher feels a whole lot better next
Wrong
turn.
place for a midnight stroll.
Got a feeling we might see a bat eat our 1/1, though.
I stand ready. What have we here?
Alright. This could be a pretty interesting turn for us. So we're going to swing with that first because we want the buff to go on all of our Gabos. And Skirmisher.
Didn't see this coming, eh?
Boo! Prophecy. There's no Prophecy that's good for us there. Lightning Bolt's bad, Harpy's bad. Yeah. So, bad, but this was a Skirmisher that for 4 Magicka gave us 12/12 in stats. It's hard to argue with those kind of results, you know?
My scales move in shadow.
Yeah, we'll use that here. The biggest problem is that this Ice Storm on the following turn is going to really hurt. So, we have to push as much damage as we possibly can. It's also why we're not going to play this. Because what we have on the board, if he doesn't have Ice Storm, we've got enough to push it anyway. But if he does have Ice Storm, it's at least one more creature that we can throw out. If he hadn't hit this Harpy, we probably just won that turn. right? Like this Harpy prophecy likely saved him. Okay, well, if he's playing Cruel Fire Bloom, he probably doesn't have Ice Storm. I mean, unless he was hoping to hit this, but this is looking pretty good for us right now. Needs a prophecy to save himself, and then even then. Alright. So, Boogeyman of the format, doesn't matter if you get 12-12 of stats for 4 Magicka. Good game.